Hail, hail, the CeltsAreHere here, and what the hell do we care about the Europa League anyway? We went to Italy, and before a ball was kicked, I think we were all crossing our fingers and toes and just saying, get out of there with a point, and we'll consider it a good night out. And, that's ultimately the way it went. Of course, I think we all know that, but having lived through and watched the game, it certainly feels like points were lost, and certainly a villain was created on the night, it certainly felt like, as well as a raft of heroes as well. A lot of Celtic players coming out of this game is clear and obvious winners in terms of contributors towards the performance. And it was a night that will live long in the memory, I feel like, for a lot of different reasons. It was the bolognese and the coleslaw all together, and it gave us a memorable European night, it must be said. We're going to get stuck straight into this one, guys. I've actually recorded this video twice today, and the files are just corrupted and they're not working. So I'm going to charge through with the Bologna breakdown because I should be able to recite it quite well by now, and then we'll kick into doing the usual stuff we do on a Friday with previewing the weekend match and listening to the manager. If you're watching us live and loud, fist bump to yourself. No matter if you're watching this live or after we've been live, please do smash the like button, of course. And at any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do hit subscribe for more content like this. We are pushing for 18,888 subscribers, and we cannot do that without your support. We're hurtling at it at a speed of knots. So if you do enjoy the content here, you enjoy the video today, please do hit subscribe for more, of course. Get into the live chat, get into the comment section, thoughts, feelings, big takeaways from Bologna, as well as thoughts and feelings going into the Hearts match, which we'll preview also in the show today. This is the way we had the team predicted coming out of the pre-match preview show on the channel. And the only two kind of points of contention for the game was Benjamin Negrin and Rio Hatate, of course, and really Donovan and Ralston. Otherwise, the team was a foregone conclusion. So I got one of them wrong. In terms of the Italian experts that we rely upon for the previews and for the predicted 11s for the opposition, they got two things wrong. If I can just click on this, there we go, boom. We had Rio Hatate starting. Now, the game coming into it, I was quite clearly on record as like, this isn't a team that I'm worried about. This is a team that we can get at. We can go toe to toe with and take our chances. If we swing well, if we take enough shots, this is a game that we can be in. This is not an opponent to fear. And if we show up in the right mindset, we can really go for it. Now, Donovan and Ralston was one of the 50-50s, and the manager went with Donovan on the day. And I've got to say early on in the video, because I do feel he is a bit of an unsung winner of the Europa League campaign, full stop. And it is Donovan. Donovan, I thought, played very, very well last night without being spectacular. It wasn't even his best game in a Celtic shirt. It wasn't even his best Europa League performance, you would say. But I was reminded watching him last night of the first time I watched him on the channel. We were invited to the Youth Champions League matches for Celtic, both seasons under Ange, I think it was, or was it an Ange season and a Brendan season? I forget, it doesn't matter. It must have been Brendan because we've seen Donovan in the squad. But when I seen Donovan, we were talking about playing the likes of Bruges and Leipzig, big, Ivy League academy level teams. The main praise or feedback I had for Donovan in those games was he looked off the level. Nobody mugged him off. He didn't make any mistakes. He made the right decision almost every time. And in really crucial, high pressure situations, just didn't put a foot wrong. And that's kind of what that's not kind of, it's exactly what we got from him against Bologna. And seeing a guy scale that up from Youth Champions League, B team, Lowland League, whatever we're going to label it as, into playing Europa League against a top end, a top half Serie A club is it's a real feather in his cap. He's really had some amazing progression this year, and him being of the level, the wingers were the wrong way around, sorry, but the level he had to be at tonight, their left-hand side was clearly their most dangerous. Dominguez was the trickster all night, but Juan Miranda was one of the main players we spoke about in the preview, a very attacking fullback, and I think you've seen that in the game. His distribution from corners, some of the shots he was taking from the edge of the box as well. He was their artillery. He was one of their main weapons. And down this left-hand side for them, our right-hand side, you never really seen Donovan out of his depth. You never really seen the rush of blood to the head, the panic, the error, the rookie mistake. It's just nowhere near him. He's keeping up with everyone. He's doing everything. And even saying that out loud maybe sounds like it diminishes his performance in some way. But I think if you watch the game, you all know what I'm getting at. Like, he was like a worthwhile contributor for sure. On this right-hand side, for us, their left-hand side, I thought Yang was a huge contributor in the first half. He just didn't put a foot wrong. And this was a huge opponent, a huge enemy for him to be confronted with 1v1. Juan Miranda's a big guy, Spain Youth International. I'm fairly certain he's got some senior caps to his name as well. And again, if you watched the game last night, he was basically alongside Rowe and Dominguez, one of their main actual routes to go, one of their main attacking threats. And all across this game, strength, speed, decision-making technique. Yang was this guy's match the whole way through it. They had a really good kind of duel session, particularly when it was 11 versus 11. And I said it not too long ago about Yang, when he started playing well, scoring the goal against Rangers and the ones before that, that for a player to just play well for a little bit, for that to turn into a purple patch or a bit of form and it to change into being the new normal, like this guy's actually got better. It needs to be sustained. It needs to be carried on for, you're kind of talking about a 10, 15 match kind of cycle. And in that run that Yang is on, I know he didn't get a goal or assist. He had a great chance. Sadly, didn't quite convert it. I thought, again, he was a huge kind of winner for his own personal progression in this game without really influencing the match greatly. But outside of that, the right-hand side or the Donovan Ralston thing was one of the coin tosses, and we've ended up talking a wee bit of Yang and Miranda. The other one was Hatate and Negren. Now, I totally get why the manager went with Hatate, and I think there was a lot of payoff for starting Hatate over Negren early on in the game. And I don't think Hatate played bad. I was hearing, particularly when I was doing all the Axom content for the match preview at halftime or whatever, Tuneke and Hatate were getting it quite tight all the way through. And Hatate obviously earns it quite rightly when he gets sent off. But outside of that, I felt Hatate was doing a really good shift at supporting Dyson in the press. Obviously, it ultimately leads to the goal, which is an obvious highlight of the match. But with Yang and Tuneke, this was a really formidable press that we had on the go, and they really struggled to deal with us, especially at 11 versus 11. And Hatate not only does that, but there was a lot of times where our midfield became a bit more of a three like this. Same with Bologna, in fact, where Ferguson at the beginning of the game was very close to Dalinga and clearly in support, but then as the ebb and the flow of the match happened, you would see it kind of maybe shift into a bit more of a three, kind of mirroring what we had in some ways. And Hatate, I think, put a really good shift. It's kind of part of the reason he gets into trouble, because he's coming back on the halfway line for the first one. And the first yellow card for me is the unforgivable one of the situation, because it is going nowhere. It's a straight kick out. It is a yellow card. There is no getting away from it. The second one, if you watch it back, it's actually, they've had a corner in between Yang and McGregor. We gain possession of the ball, and McGregor not so long for Hatate. Now, Hatate kind of knows he's the only one on the counter-attack, and because we're live, I can't really go and get the footage and the frames and whatever. But I don't mind Hatate keeping up the pressure with that guy and, trying to buy a free kick for us, a throw-in for us, something like that, just a bit higher up the pitch. He doesn't even make contact with the guy. It isn't a yellow card, and it's like robbery of the highest order. But the cliche that's been going around it, of course, is, you gave the referee a decision to make. What do you expect to happen? And as soon as it happened, I got mad PTSD about Juventus at Turin and Nicolo Amoruso. And it happened to us a bunch of times when I was growing up. And when I seen Martin O'Neill on the screen, I could see it just washed right over him as well. He was infuriated. He couldn't believe he was finding himself in this situation again. And Hatate, deserved to get sent off, really. It was, especially because they were in such close, quick succession from one another, it did just beg our belief, and it was just infuriating in that regard. But up until that point, the midfield battle zone, like before Hatate comes off, there was extended periods of this game where, we didn't dominate possession in that sense, where we were like as if we were playing Motherwell or old Motherwell or Ross County or something like that. But we were the dominant team in the game for spells of the match. We controlled, if we wanted to go through the middle, we were going through the middle. We were controlling the ball. We were going around the pitch as we wanted. Not unchallenged, of course, but, I felt that we controlled the game very well. And when Hatate came off, it, really took that element out of the game, because you're not going to do that anymore down to numbers. And it then kind of puts the extra focus onto probably the main heroes of the game, which is ultimately Trusty, but the whole defence, Scales and Tierney, and also we've mentioned Donovan and actually Kasper Schmeichel as well in a big way, are the guys that we get out of there. The guys that are the reason that we get out of there with the points in the end. Trusty was an absolute colossus in this game, done everything you would want him to do in defence. And this for me was a real, we mentioned progression with Donovan and Yang earlier on. For me, this was a huge breakthrough performance for Trusty, where he has if this was like a movie or a cartoon or something like that, he has that's him. He has totally unlocked potential at this point, and he has showing, and I know it's Europa League, he's played Champions League as well and played very well, as everyone's quick to highlight at this point, but it's time and time again. You know, I've just felt like this season, whenever I've seen Trusty, that he has just been like completely committed, completely switched on under Rodgers, even under Nancy. You could see he was one of the ones that was really just trying to give 200% at everything. And obviously through Martin O'Neill, both times you really feel that, and it's great to see. He's mirrored in a way, I suppose, with Engels, in a sense of Engels just feels like he just does a lot better facing the game. You know, when Engels is getting the ball and everything's in front of him, and he can still do all the sorts of stuff that we know he's good at. You know, like getting around the pitch, spraying balls into channels, etc. But it just feels that you get a lot more out of him when he's facing the game rather than under Brendan Rodgers, where he's like pitched out on one side. Normally we would have like Hatate over here, and it's like you're on this side of the pitch, run the game from here. Coming in from this zone, he just seems to suit it a lot better. And whether it be Hatate or whoever else, it's you know. So anyway, the focus kind of turns to the engine room a bit more, doesn't it? The back line, the defense, as well as McGregor and Engels. And when we went down to 10 men, I was really interested to see how we were going to figure this out on the pitch. You cannot imagine that Martin O'Neill, Fotheringham, Maloney, McManus and co have worked on the probability of going down to 10 men. And what did we do? We know Brendan Rodgers loved a 4-3-2. Is that what we're going to pull out? And at 1-0, we decide to go down to a 4-4-1, which is probably the best thing to do. And we really just tried to keep the banks of four together nice and tightly. And, you know, the longer we had 10 men, Dyson especially, we ended up getting right tight. Like between the lines, there was no space at all. And Dyson at points as well was on the edge of the D at the 18-yard box. And, you know, the fear is when you're 1-0 up and you're 10 men, you're a man down, is that you become the architect of your own downfall. You just give the opposition the entire pitch and they just take it and they go for it. And that started to happen. They started to chap at the door, push us back. The corner cross shot count is off the scale. And I was kind of worried here. Now, with Dyson, and again, you can see it with some different clips, particularly in the second half. We'll get to that in a moment. But, you know, I would have, if we were going to do the two banks of four thing, you know, on occasion, not always, because when you're down to 10 men, you have to be battle stations, all hands to the pump. I would have maybe liked us to tried cheating a little bit more. But in the first half, especially with it happening in the 35th minute, I think wisdom, sensibilities, everything is just shut the half out. Just do not give anything away. Get to half time and we can reformulate from there. Ultimately, we end up getting a corner, obviously, which is swung in by KT. KT's not taking a lot of corners for us, but it's the left footer on the left-hand side, swinging it in. Engels with a little flick on. Trusty finishes it, of course, to make it 2-0. And then we get into halftime, right? We're 2-0 up. I think we're all feeling really good about the situation, but we all know this. We all know how the story goes. We all know what is to come. They're going to try and turn the screw. They're going to try and go up the gears. We're down to 10 men. We need to not only hold the fort, but the second goal, I do feel that gave us a great level of reason to be optimistic at halftime in terms of like how the team and the manager and everything would have been, that even if we concede the next goal, like heads won't go down. And that's something that's kind of happened to us in Europe. If you think about the Braga game, I would say, in the Roma match, as well as some matches domestically, where if we have not scored the first goal or if we've had a fight back on our hands, we've really struggled with it. So the second goal, I think, has bought a wee bit of composure. It's bought a wee bit of mental space for the team. But we come out second half, we make one change. We take off Tuneke for Negren. Now, this wasn't a big surprise. And I thought at 1-0, that could have been a great sub to make at halftime. And you do that Rodgers 4-3-2, where you just put Negren in for Hatate. You get a midfield three in front of the back four, and you let Dyson and Yang run themselves into the ground, chasing anything and holding wide positions for counter-attacks and try and give us something in the game. At 2-0, obviously, that's not quite needed as much. And I thought we were really clever when we were down to 10 men, because we had Yang just dropping in at right back, of course, but we basically kept the back four in within the width of the box. Yang would drop in to be a sixth man, as would Negren, and then you would have McGregor and Engels and Dyson kind of protecting the edge of the box and confronting the Bologna players. But sometimes it would be Dyson that would be in here, and you would find Negren in these types of situations. And I think we rotated really well, even to the extent where anytime that we maybe broke up play and got the ball back into this type of area, sometimes Engels, sometimes McGregor would actually be the highest up player for us. They would chase it down, they would make it difficult, knowing that we've got good numbers, good quality, good organisation in the box, and under pressure, if they do kick it long or do pump it into the box, jackpot, they've played into our hands. We've got a good chance of dealing with that, or even just killing off any sort of attempt that that they're trying to make at this point. So I actually think at 10 men, this was quite clever. They then go on to get the goal. Now, if you see Dalinga's goal, the way he scores it, he gets in off the back of Trusty. The box is crowded, and they've got a cross in from the right-hand side, I'm sure it is, isn't it? But Dyson is just in the middle of a crowd of Celtic players. Now, there is some players for us to be picking up on the footage. You can see it if you watch it back. But I thought that was a real prime example of just leave him somewhere, just cheat a bit. Because, again, we've not got the footage because we're live. Normally, when I'm recording this, I can just take the footage and make sure we only get still frames. But they were like, their centre backs were like into this type of territory up here. They were really flooding the box. They were really pushing it. And their centre backs and all this can only do that because our whole team is here. The offside trap is the halfway line when you're in your own half. I'm sure a lot of you know that already. But if you just leave it, if you just cheat and leave a guy up there, then you know what? These two guys now can't do that. They need to do this all of a sudden. And if they're going to do that, then what does this guy need to do? He's maybe back 5 more yards. What about him? He's maybe inside a wee bit more. And it's one of these things where you can't do right for doing wrong. You're down to 10 men. You can only do the one thing. Everyone gets on the same page with the one thing and do it to the best of your ability. Sometimes you can overcomplicate these things. Maybe I'm nitpicking. But with the Dalinga goal, I think you can kind of see that having Dyson back in there wasn't actually doing anything. You know what I mean? It was actually just allowing them to be like the whole team within the final 20 yards. So one of those ones. So we go 2-1 down. And then I think it's at that point we see some changes for Bologna where they start to turn it up a bit. They take off Ferguson and who else comes off? I think it might be, is it Dominguez or Pobega? No, I think it might be I can't remember now. I've done this about 3. This is the 3rd time I'm doing it. But they brought on Odegaard and they brought on Orsolini. They also brought on no. They brought on Odegaard first. Oh, it doesn't matter. We took 2 off and put 2 on. Eventually, it ends up becoming an extra one with Cambiagi coming on. I think that might be for Pobega eventually. Yeah, that's eventually the way they go. And for us in the second half, it is just all about defending. It is all about being backs to the wall. And it's not until we then take off Yang for Johnny Kenny, and we get Kenny up front, and we take off Donovan for Ralston. Now, Ralston does that. This is what Ralston's getting paid for, is to do this. Last 15 minutes, last 13 minutes of a game, we need you to come on fresh legs, fully charged up and ready to go. Don't give anyone anything. Take everything from them that you can. Kill the clock, be good defensively. And, just do your thing there. But what it gave us with Kenny, because Dyson then drops in to left, Negren drops into right, properly. So then we've just got those 2 banks of 4, and Kenny just goes on those doggy runs, those death runs. And at 2-2, it buys us a bit more space. You even heard it from McGregor in post and some of the other post-match comments where at 2-2 we actually got a bit better balance in the game. And that was down to Johnny Kenny. That was down to him being a striker, being allowed to be higher on the pitch to just stop them from totally dominating the territory. Now, he did have a great chance to play. I think it was Dyson through, and he went safe. He went conservative, fine. I'm still scarred from Stuart Armstrong, Scotland versus England. So I'm totally fine with Kenny playing safe and not taking the chance there. If it came back to bite us in the bum, it would have been a different story, wouldn't it? Ultimately, if we end up losing the game, or imagine he did take the chance, turns possession over, and that kind of thing happens, would have been even more raging. So I don't hold that against him. I thought he did well. And the thing as well that you need to remember with this is, as much as we see it coming on, and a lot of you guys, I'm happy to give Kenny his place in the squad, like the 3rd striker in the pecking order, essentially. But Bologna don't think that. They just see a guy coming on, energized, pumped up, ready to make a name for himself, who shoulder to shoulder has given them a real handful, where they end up making a defensive substitution where this guy comes on for Casale. And that's what you want from Kenny. Come on in those minutes in the game and do this. That earns a place in the squad for me. Now, is that him fulfilling his potential, being everything he can be? Is that us being everything we can be? The answer to all that's probably a couple of shades of no, isn't it? But again, Ralston and Kenny, I think, really earned their keep with that performance off the bench. They really kept tempo and momentum. And the bench was a weak point, where we were looking at the bench and worrying about the options we had. Eventually, the last sub is Engels for Bernardo. And that was the opposite to their bench. They're bringing on Orsolini, they're bringing on Odegaard, Cambiaghi. They're turning the screw. They're going up the gears. Obviously, they've got the man advantage also. But despite how threadbare our bench looked, the subs all actually really contributed very, very well, you know. So this was a great point, ultimately. Now, Hatate, I said it pre-match about like what we're expecting from him. I went and looked at it. I can't remember the exact number, but he's made like 20 Champions League appearances for Celtic. He's been here for 5 seasons. He is vastly experienced. He has played some of the best players that you can think of since he's been at Celtic. And for him to bite the way he did, like, really changed my opinion of him in a lot of ways. Like, he bit, you know, he took the bait. And I don't know, it really changed my opinion of him, I think, in a big way. We'll finish off the Bologna stuff, because I'm just trying to get this done because I've done it twice already and I can just try and rattle through with it. With the player ratings, now Austin Trusty comes out, I think, is everyone's hero, man of the match. He got a sound 100 out of 100 match rating for me on this one. He got a goal and a clearance off the line, which is absolutely mega. I think we all remember it coming off his wee backside there. A wee bit generous maybe with the Opta categorization of it, but we are not complaining at all. Defensively, an absolute colossus. 17 effective clearances. Crazy. 2 tackles, 1, 3 outfielder blocks as well. And in possession terms, he won 9 duels, lost 4. Incredible volume, great success percentage, and 3 interceptions on top. He only lost possession, including clearances and all the rest of it, twice. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. He only made 12 passes in the game, would you believe? 2 missed passes, which is those 2 possession loss that we mentioned before. 1 long pass into the opposition and a shot on target for the goal. A huge effort for the big man, and I can't give him enough praise for the performance. I think Scales was quite good defensively as well, but I think it's just by contrast. He got 57 out of 100 compared to Trusty, and it's just the same stuff but lower volume. You know, 10 clearances for Scales, 2 tackles, 3 blocks, all quite similar actually. More volume on the clearances. And with the duels, again, a really good success rate, just much lower volume. Only 1 interception, Trusty had 3, and 4 possession lost, Trusty had 2. So it's just slightly different, isn't it? But very, very good, you know. And these 2 guys they've slowly became the heroes that we never knew that we needed or we wanted or whatever. 28 passes for Scales, he missed 4 of them, and you know, really solid in between the centre backs. I want to highlight Schmeichel as well because I do think he made some really big saves in this one. And in terms of the goals, like, I don't think you can really fault him or discuss him really for conceding any of them. Conceded 2 goals, fine. Possession lost 24, a lot of big kicks up the pitch and a lot of clearances, etc. He did make 19 accurate passes. 1 of them got into the final third. 9 of them were long. They got out to the halfway line. 24 missed passes in total. He made 7 saves, 5 from inside the box. 1 punch, 1 diving save, and 1 goalkeeper smother. A 50 out of 100 rating for Big Casper. Captain Callum McGregor comes out with this with a cool 60 out of 100, thanks to his last man tackle. I think you all remember that moment as well. A clear goal-saving action there from McGregor. He gave away a foul, and if nothing else in the general category. Defensively is something normally we are saying McGregor doesn't have enough of about him. This game, he was almost impeccable. You know, genuinely 3 tackles, 1, a block cross, an outfielder block. Possession, he lost it 10 times, fine. Jules lost 6, Jules won 4. It's -2. So he's been involved in 10, lost 6, right? But not bad. But not bad generally. If it was 5 and 5, we would have been a lot happier. That's a swing of 1, isn't it? So 17 accurate passes, less than Scales. That's funny to see, isn't it? Only 3 of them in the final third, only 1 accurate long ball, 9 missed passes. So quite a low volume game for McGregor statistically, but I think we all know from watching the game, you know, in that last man tackle as well, we really poured everything out. Arnie Engels got a 66 out of 100 thanks to his assist, a little flick on header for Austin Trusty off the Kieran Tierney corner. He won a tackle himself. He made 2 blocks. Jules won and lost. Again, similar to McGregor, not a great success ratio. He's lost 7 but won 5, so -2. But the volume is, like, it's okay, isn't it? He's done enough. We all know he was combative, and the duels he won were important and successful. 1 interception for him. Pass count's a bit better for Engels because he takes set pieces and stuff. 1 big chance created, 1 attempted assist. And in terms of the attacking stuff, he won a dribble, played 5 balls into the box. Hatate is kind of the divisive player of the game. Now, he scored a goal and he gets sent off, so both of those things kind of cancel off each other. And he comes out of the match with a 40 out of 100 rating, which is none too good, obviously. But like I said, outside the red card, I thought he was having a decent game. He was showing why he was selected. He wasn't in form coming into the game, but I really think he's done himself the world of harm with that. He gave away 2 fouls, obviously, both the yellows. He was fouled once himself. He won 1 tackle, allegedly. 3 possession lost. Jules won and lost again, 3 and 2. Low volume, not the right way round either. 8 passes, only 1 missed, and 1 shot on goal. Not much for him. Dyson Maeda got a 60 as well for his assist. Anything else of note for Dyson? I think he was very low volume as well. Yeah, 1 shot, only a couple of passes. In terms of duel success and stuff, yeah, even though he's putting in a big defensive performance, he won 5 duels but lost 12. So that is like -7, isn't it? On the net ratio of it. 9 possession loss. So yeah, again, he left it all out there, but wasn't too much to capture or say was overly successful. I really liked Yang's performance in this, and it's probably the last one we'll look at. He had a big chance missed, obviously, but another good performance from him. He didn't miss a pass. 11 passes made, one of them in the final third. Jules, 7 and 7, net 0, but again, great volume, and against the best players in the Bologna team, and Dominguez and Miranda. And he's also made 3 interceptions, which is incredible. You know, it's up there with Trusty. Defensive, nothing to write home about there. He's a forward, obviously, but he was fouled twice. He gave away 2 fouls. He's won some free kicks. He's gave away some free kicks. Again, a bit of a quiet success of the game. The bench, again, were fine, but statistically, not much to chat about. And that is us. We leave Bologna from there, and I can breathe. We've done that video now. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. Let me see yous. How are we feeling after Bologna? Good to see you all. Sorry for not keeping up with the chat, but I just had to get that video out. I've recorded it twice today, and it didn't work. The video files were all corrupted and stuff, so I just wanted to get it all out and do it. And sorry, yeah, I know you've been chatting back to me on a variety of things, and I'll do my best to try and get back across it. Feel free. I've not kept the Barnet. I've just been so busy trying to do that bloody video today. Fridays are always busy for me anyway, and we've still got more to go through, so I've just not made it out. Yeah, I'd actually Jonathan Rowe went up in my estimations quite a lot. I think he was better than the Dominguez guy. He didn't get anything out of Tierney, but I think Dominguez, in terms of like a challenge for Donovan, would have been the harder player to play against, if you get me, because he's that kind of trickster way. He's a wee dribble merchant. Where like Rowe's got a bit of that, but he's a bit more power, a bit more direct by comparison to Dominguez from what I've seen last night anyway. But yeah, I know I'd agree with that. Rowe was very good. Fully expected Hatate to be like a man possessed with something to prove. Yeah. Well, he cannot play against Utrecht, so we're not going to see him play Utrecht. And does that maybe add into the conversation for Hearts? I think the Gren is going to start Hearts, even if Hatate didn't get sent off. I think that was the thinking. You start Hatate in this game because of the benefits that he can give you, and we did get for 30 minutes. And then you can start Negren against Hearts, and you know what Negren's going to do. And you've got Hatate off the bench. So, yeah. I need to grab my headphones because I put them on charge, and we'll listen to Martin O'Neill for pre-match. Sorry, guys. I like to have everything ready, but I just couldn't get that sorted in time. So yeah, just get these fired up. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Big takeaways from last night. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? What do you think? What did you see? What did I miss? Any of and all the above. Did I not charge? I did charge. Good. Drop it into the comments. Comments are on screen. Audience participation is always welcome. If you haven't done so already, please do hit like and subscribe. We're pushing for 18,888 subscribers. And we cannot do that without your support. So if you do enjoy the video, like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's hear from Martin. I've not heard this at all, so I've got no idea what he's going to say. No clips or spoilers or anything.
A nice result last night when you come into work the next day.
Yeah, it's always a great feeling if you the sort of performance was terrific. The result was really fine. I think my own view, I can't say for certain, but I think if we had stayed with 11 men the way we were playing at the time, I think we might have taken all 3 points. It wasn't to be. backs to the wall, certainly in the second half, and it's just a terrific effort. So we're still in the competition. We've a game on Thursday, and try and win that if we can. But that'll come Thursday. The big match is on Sunday.
I suppose if there is a downside, it would be the physical output that went into the second half in particular.
Yeah.
How is everyone, particularly with that big game around the corner?
Excuse me, we're fine. Johnny Kenny's picked up a bit of a calf strain. We'll see how it is now. I think he's gone for some sort of scans this afternoon, but
Well, we've seen Iheanacho is back on the pitch. We've also signed Thomas Chivanchara. So bad timing for Kenny. Good timing for Iheanacho. Great timing for Chivanchara.
we'll see. And he might be a doubt.
Convenient for Martin O'Neill and the coaching team.
I'm not sure, but he just said he felt it during the course of the time he was on. But hopefully, other than that, we're ready to go.
Quick transitional period for your new striker. Did he train today? What's that integration looking like with a view to the weekend? Yeah,
he trained yesterday with the B lads, and he trained this morning, and he's ready to go.
Extra.
He's ready to go. Now, Martin O'Neill is old school. I was saying this on my other show today, where like Martin O'Neill's from that era. Some of you guys, if you're the same age or you're old enough, you'll remember where if you get a new signing, he plays. Like you've just bought him, he plays. You know, we throw him in. Martin O'Neill's not going to wait for bedding in periods and wait for him to get his buddy in the squad or whatever. Get acclimatized, get his suitcase unpacked. Screw that, mate. You're here to play football. You're in the team.
I guess reliance on that, and if Johnny is injured in a department that's maybe already linked.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put too much pressure on him. You know, he's not going to be. He's not just going to be the panacea for all our ills and woes and stuff like that. But just let him get settled in. I think he'll make an impact. I hope he does. And but again, I just wouldn't want to be putting extreme pressure on him to solve all our problems.
How has he settled?
He looks okay. Well, he's done fine. He is. He's here. He's
trained fine. It's one of Martin O'Neill's favourite things, isn't it? He is 73. I don't know what that's in relation to, but that generation of you're signed, you're playing. Yeah, I love it.
He has a partner and child at this minute, so they're hoping to try and get settled in here in Glasgow as soon as possible. But he's making the commitment. He wants to play well. He obviously wants to do well with us, and maybe as a consequence, he gets himself back into the Czech Republic team.
Could he start on Sunday, Martin?
He could start on Sunday. Yeah.
When will you make that?
Oh, look at that wee face! He could start on Sunday. Martin's got it.
That decision, is it something training tomorrow? Or?
Yeah, we'll train after tomorrow. Yeah.
How is Kelechi Iheanacho? I understand he was training today.
He trained today. Yes, that's. I think that might be his second day. He didn't travel with us. He's been doing some training, and he did fine today. I'm glad to see him.
He did fine. Martin does not want anyone jumping the gun. He doesn't want anyone getting excited or carried away. Everything's fine. It's okay. Don't panic. It's not that bad. And yeah, don't get too excited. It's not that great. It's just fine.
See him back. That helps us if that's the case. It might be a bit of a stretch to start him in a game at the moment, but at least he's going to be available.
How do you view the game on Sunday in terms of the title race? Many people saying it could be pivotal for your hopes of retaining the title.
It's going to be very big. Yeah, no question about it. If we get beaten, it's a long way back for us. It's a bit of a trek at the minute. So we would go out to try and win the game if we can. And I think that it's not the end of the road, but not 9 points would be a lot to claw back, and so many games left. But what would that be? 15 after that?
How important is it for you? You say that you go all out to win. It could be a 9-point deficit if you lose. How important is it that you do go there looking for a victory instead of just let's avoid defeat here, let's take a point and get out?
Well, I don't think that's in their nature. I think really, I mean, if you looked at last night at the way we started the game, We closed the players down. We scored a goal from closing players down. So we went to take the game to Bologna. What's the point in sitting back?
Yes.
But obviously, as the game goes on, we get a man sent off. Second half, we had to retreat. They drove us back, as you would expect. Very, very fine side, and we had to. It was all hands to the pump. But that's the way the game goes. And but for us, we'll try and we will be as positive as we possibly can, and we'll try and win. And if we can't win it, we'll try and save it.
In terms of Thomas, you mentioned you didn't want to put too much pressure on him, but is there a confidence in you that should he be called upon to start or make an impact on Sunday that he can, and in that sense that he can make the impact, he can be that sort of game?
Kvan Kara, he can be the man. Is that what he's trying to say?
Changing man at the top.
I'm hoping that that's the case. That's why we've taken him on. Yes.
Why is no one asked about Rio Hatate? Why is nobody asked about Kobe Donovan, Austin Trusty yet? I know, like, I may be quite quick to jump on these guys when it's just when it's repetitive. We've already heard about Kvan Kara. He could play. He's already just told us that. He's not going to play him if he doesn't think he's going to score a goal.
Yes, I think he naturally wants to do well, and we want him to do well, very selfishly for ourselves, but obviously for him. I think he's capable of doing it, and but it's on the field that counts.
What have you made of how Derek McInnes has gone about his business at Hearts?
It's terrific. It's really been brilliant. So it's a really great season for them, and they've. I was nearly going to say they've taken advantages of Celtic and Rangers slip-ups, but that's not the case. They've driven on themselves. They've done it, and it's genuinely great credit to them.
I wonder, going into this one, who you think the favourites for the title are at the moment?
Well, I do. Let me put it this way: I wish we were going into this game with 6 points in front.
Do you anticipate any more new faces coming in before Sunday?
Oh, come on. Come on, man. It's a pre-game I don't want to be too harsh, right? Today's not as bad as it can be. Sometimes these are really bad, aren't they? But come on, man. It's 8 minutes. We've had... You don't want to ask about how any of them are after Thursday night? What about Donovan? What about Araujo? Is that a problem now? What do you think? Or Tierney? He played 90 minutes. Hatate.
For Sunday?
I would hardly think before Sunday, but we've got the other week then, and I'm still very hopeful that we'll get some people in.
How's the juggling act of getting teams prepared, looking at oppositions, but then obviously going into the last week, having to really knuckle down with the transfers? How's that been for you and the team?
Well, for us for me and the coaches here, it is a bit of a juggling act, I must admit. We're trying to concentrate on the games ahead, which is the most important thing. Still thinking about trying to get players into the football club, players that we think that can help. I think I said in a previous...
My only frustration, for lack of a better word, with it is like they're asking these questions because they've ran out of other questions. You can kind of hear that it's like, oh, well, was it like juggling all this, Martin? Okay, fine, but so many players. What about
this interview? You could add another 15 players to the squad that might not improve it one jot. So you're trying to look for that wee bit of quality, trying to get value for money. If that's the case, all of those particular things go into. And I must admit, it wasn't something I was thinking about in the 1st of January. Really wasn't. I was welcoming in the new year. I had a brilliant Hogmanay, even though it wasn't in Edinburgh.
I can imagine you miss the thrill when you've been out of the game. You miss the thrill of winning games, being in the touchline, because that seems enjoyable. Is it enjoyable to try and navigate a transfer window?
The transfer window, I thought you were going to ask me, did I enjoy the football matches? No, I haven't enjoyed that for 30 years. But yeah, I do. Of course, I miss the game, absolutely. And it's a pleasure, sometimes a dubious one, but it's a real pleasure to be back and doing something that you actually loved in many aspects and missed. And just to be on the touchline, arguing with fourth officials is just right up my street, you know.
What are your memories of Tynecastle from your first spell, Martin? It's
What's
actually
your
a bit of a bear pit for
Tynecastle,
games like
mate,
these.
come on. Come on. What's your memories of Tynecastle? Rio, Hatate, Trusty, anything, man? Like, what? How are they coming into this? How were you thinking? None of that.
I think so. Yeah, it has a great atmosphere. It's fiery. It's great, and I think I used to say here outside Ibrox, it was the most intimidating place to go, and I think it'll be a wonderful atmosphere. Yeah.
In your experience, Martin, when you have these sort of top of the table tussles and you do get the win, psychologically, in your experience, what does that do not only for yourself but for the opposition as we look ahead to this run in?
Well, I think the recent games for us, you know, I chopped and changed the side, and that was down to me for the Scottish Cup match, and then we come up with a big performance here. So the players they're in good spirits, you know, and I take your point entirely about the length of time that you have between the travelling home last night, getting in the early morning, and getting up again for the game. They'll be up for the game, and but that's maybe when a time where maybe substitutions might play their part. But yeah, it's really exciting.
Should be a big one. Now, I did have the Cavankara one loaded up and ready to go. It's only 4 minutes. I would be interested in listening to this, but I don't know if you want to listen to it. It probably is just a wee bit of just kind of what you hear from him. I don't know if you just want to listen to it or not. Okay, let's just skip by this. These are the predicted lineups that we have for Hearts and Celtic. The Celtic one comes from friend of the channel, McBride Ace, and we'll do our own one in a wee second. It's not really going to differ too much. I think there's not really much to discuss outside of the striker position, but this is how Hearts look to be lining up. And I was saying this on my other show that I do on a Friday beforehand, that Devlin and Shankland and Beningame, you know, them being out is a hindrance, right? But to some of the people that I'm in conversation with regularly, especially the ones that are like Tony Bloom, Jamestown Analytics guys, they have all been crying out for this Kabore to play all season. Apparently, if you listen to some of those guys as well, there's been quiet tensions behind the scenes that why this guy hasn't played more between Bloom and McInnes. So Shankland being out isn't a guaranteed good thing, really. Beningame and Devlin, different kettle of fish. But I do think Magnussen played well against us. Harry Milne, Steinwinder, these guys all played well against us last time. Everyone agrees Blair Spittle's a good player. So they have got weaker, but I don't think there's such a drop off. You know, it's a difference with Hearts versus a previous Aberdeen iteration, and even some of the early Rangers teams that we've seen when they first got into the Premier League or Premiership, whatever we're calling this thing, SPFL, where like beyond the first 11 there wasn't much there. Hearts have like a decent level in and behind the first string, so I don't think it's much of a change. Whether it be Kabore or Elton Kabungu, who's a former USG striker, so profile and style and all that, these guys will be a handful. There's no two ways about it. And for us, I think really the only question mark, well, it's kind of two question marks in one, isn't it? It's Cavankara to start, and then what does that mean? Does it mean he starts in place of Maeda and Tuneki plays left, or is it in just a straight place of Maeda? Pardon me, of Tuneki, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Is it Maeda plays left or Tuneki plays left? If he was to play, you know. I'm not sure Hatate comes into the conversation for the weekend. I think the plan would have always been to start Negrin, and I think after the red card thing, I don't know, maybe the red card thing changes it a little bit for Martin, depending on how he feels about the situation, because like I mentioned, Hatate cannot play against Utrecht, so he's going to be off in the midweek anyway. Do you maybe run him into the ground a bit more in this one? Oh, that would be good. Apparently he was going to stay there till the summer, so interesting. We'll probably need to push the boat out to get that, and that would be a good sign, I would think. Let's jump back to the tactics board here, and if we can have a wee reset on this, maybe let's hit number 1, see what that does for me. Yeah, this is where we were the other day, and then let's change this to Hearts. We can change the Hearts team to what's predicted there if we need to. Let's hide them for now. So what are we looking at? Yeah, I think the back four kind of picks itself. Araujo comes in because he's rested and obviously ineligible for Europe. You give Donovan the rest to go again against Utrecht. There's no harm and no foul into that. Good game, good squad management. I think that comes down to McGregor Engels, again, a foregone conclusion, I suspect. Youngster the same. Kenny's out, we know that. Let's just clean up the backside of this here. Iheanacho's in the bench. Bernie's on the bench. Balquisha, was he on the bench? He was, wasn't he? Duhan, AJ. And then, yeah, Tunetke's in contention. I think that's pretty much us. Just need to get Kvankara. Have we got him in here loaded? No, I had him again. This is a bit annoying. There we go. Number 11, isn't he? So this is an interesting one. Iheanacho, Martin O'Neill out and out said not ready to start probably for the next couple of weeks. So almost certainly final 10 minutes is what I'm thinking about for Iheanacho. There's no need to really rush him back. Sure, Kenny's going to be out of it, but I think between Dyson and Kvankara, you're probably going to have this role covered. So I don't know. I think I personally, like, again, I think Hatate was never going to start this game. But again, I think the plan might have been to start him against Utrecht, and that now cannot happen. So the knock-on effect might be you do start him in this one because Negren will start Utrecht. So I actually do kind of agree that this is quite coin tossy right now, but I'm going to edge towards my gut, which is Ben Negren to start this one. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start Dyson. Personally, Dyson played the 90. Tunecki only played 45, so should be in good fettle for the match and is in good spirits under Martin O'Neill. Yang the same, didn't play the 90, kind of walks into the team. And you know Kvankara doesn't have 90. You don't know how long you can really rely upon Iheanacho either in that case. So taking Kvankara off later for Dyson, or then maybe even taking off Tunecki for Iheanacho later. I'll just get rid of Tunecki by accident there, and then you move Dyson out to the left. That could be something that you do as well. So I can see that making a lot of sense. I think the safest thing to do, because Martin O'Neill did in that press conference mention that we got a goal from pressing and we took the game to Bologna, and that's something we want to do. So the front three could remain the same as Bologna. I wouldn't be surprised by that one iota. And then later in the game, you've got the likes of Rio Hatate and Kvankara to come on later. I just don't know how you can get Kvankara and Iheanacho off the bench, I guess, is my main question mark. Last 10 minutes, yeah. Araujo has to start. Keep the head on early, yep. Trusty up front and centre back. Yeah, I can dig it. Watched Asprilla comps the other day, and now it's going to break my heart when it doesn't happen. Oh, is it not happening? Asprilla is a real Celtic winger, isn't he? Like, he is like, I said the phrase, and a lot of you were upset with me, I'm sorry, but I said the phrase, he would sell some shirts, and I didn't mean it in any way. You know, it's just an expression, sorry. But yeah, if it doesn't happen, it will be a gutter. Maeda left, Yang right. You think it could be that? Yeah, I suppose it could be. You start him, and yeah, then you've got the option for, you could take Kvankara off later on for Iheanacho, and then if Iheanacho did break down, you've still got Dyson to rescue the situation later on. Yeah, I could see that. Kvankara wants to run into space as well, and that's quite a strong, like, Dyson supporting somebody. And I think it will be Negren in support as well. This could be, yeah, really, really good. Again, Tynecastle's it feels like a much more narrow affair than what it does at Celtic Park or some other stadiums. He's going to Galatasaray. Oh, that's kind of, yeah, okay. One of those things. But yeah, then Tunecki off the bench gives you some like flair. I don't think, would you play? He seems to always play on the left. I don't think he could come on the right. You never know. Balquisha, who knows if he could do something off the bench. But yeah, I think this is probably the way the team is going to line up for it. Ultimately, I'm in agreement with you. I think Martin O'Neill plays the new boy. He knows he's got Iheanacho on the bench. Kenny won't make it. We've just been told that. And then this bench looks like a lot better, just with Kvankara coming into the mix. Iheanacho off the treatment table actually has some options and some depth on it. Kieran Tierney's a bit of a funny one as well, because he is like collecting a lot of 90 minutes, which is not a bad thing, but you know, it needs a break at some point. Sriracha's not been there for that relief. Scales is covered for him at times. That's not quite happened. do we still have Welsh in the building? Not, yeah, I think we do. So wouldn't be surprised if later in the game we maybe got Welsh coming on to maybe buy Tierney some minutes off in the game later, and we shuffle across the back four, Trusty and Scales. Because yeah, we don't have any real left back cover. Donovan could play left back as well. Wouldn't rule that one out. Nice little run of debut scorers at Tannadice. Love a bit of that. No, so that was part of the problem where he was played there and is very bad there, and nobody wanted him to play anymore. So it's because he's mobile and like in the right system. See the way that Dyson plays wide, where he's not really a winger. You kind of want him. You kind of want the ball to be down the other side, and then he can come in as a forward. He can do it. He can. When you're saying that he can play right wing, he can do that type of job from what I've seen of him and from what I've gathered elsewhere as well. But I think the manager was trying to play him as like a Kulusevski type, if you get me. So like I wouldn't say he can play right wing. I think you could cheat him and be like a late forward, a second forward from a wide position. But you can't. I don't think you're having this guy hitting the byline and taking people on a dribble. Personally, bit of Chris Sutton about him. Yeah, I kind of think of him as like a cheat. I've watched a lot more of him as we've signed him, obviously, but I kind of still shake the Ed and Dzeko comparisons. Like he's a cheap Dzeko, or something like that. Yeah, exactly, Ronan. That inside forward, kind of off the wide forward attacker kind of role. He's not a winger. He's not a right winger. He's like, this kind of pockety space. Iheanacho has been on training for 2 days, according to Martin O'Neill. Should be good for the bench for this one. Maswinisi will be in for Hearts. The big shout, Chris. And again, why did none of the journalists ask about Maswinisi? Again, if we want to talk about transfers, name somebody, try and get him to squirm a bit. I like so I had watched Kvan Kara when he signed for Gladbach because I was watching a lot of Bundesliga. I'm a big follower of Leipzig, I would say. And when you see a guy at the time, I remember him signing for Gladbach. So I remember thinking, oh, that's the sort of guy Celtic should sign, but we're never going to spend 15 million on a guy from Prague. So I remember the transfer, and I had him in fantasy football. I watched him. His debut was quite memorable. Those 2 goals were obviously quite special. But I watched a bit of him when he returned from injury, got a wee spell in the team where he looked okay. So I've kind of seen him before without really paying microscopic attention to him. But I think in our league, he's got all the tools, and it's just about confidence and taking it, and if he can, then he's going to look really good for us, really easy. The bar is very low. We do create lots of good chances. And it's his opportunity to take. Now, it's our success that's riding on it, but it's his opportunity to take. This is a huge platform for him to be on, considering the way his career has went to this point. Martin O'Neill speaks well of him. I've got faith in O'Neill and following him and Maloney to be able to ID the character and make sure they know what's required and what will be tolerated and what won't be. So yeah. Davachvili is a very exciting player. I'm not sure if he's on the move, but is he? Or maybe he is. I think this is going to be a good game for us, to be honest with you. We'll relay this with the Hearts team as well. This is what I think they played in their last match, but Beningame is now suspended. Shankland is now out. Milne is projected out there. Magnuson's in here. McCart, Halkett, Kent, Altena. I don't think that was the back four I seen. It was Steinwinder, Finlay, Halkett, Kingsley. So let's go and add them on. Kingsley, Cabore's in, Steinwinder, Spittle, Finlay. That's it. Kingsley in at left. Who's this? Cabore up front with Braga. Steinwinder right back. Spittle in the middle. That rhymes a wee bit, doesn't it? Spittle in the middle. Kizaridis. Braga will be... Yeah, I don't know. I seen them play against Kelly and these guys were both on the same side of the pitch. I could see it maybe being that way, but I think it was Braga to be on that side, Cabore on this side. But this will be a tough one. I do actually fancy us to... I think the thing with no Beningame and Devlin is the middle of the pitch for us. We can really cut them off a bit, because they're going to be really forced to play to the wide players a lot more often, Kizaridis and Braga. because they're not going to want to keep the ball centrally as much. You know, like before they would go through the middle with Devlin into Shanklin's feet, spray it out wide. I'm not sure they're going to have that same potential with, you know, their second string essentially, and the strength that we bring to the match. I'm quite excited for the middle of the pitch battle. I think this is a big one for Tierney and Araujo. Araujo, it's a big one for him. Like, he could really make or break his little Celtic legacy with a game like this, a big 6-pointer, top of the table clash. But I fancy him to do a number on Kizzaridis. I think he could do very well. And I think in attack, like him and Yang down the side here is so high energy, big tempo, good strength. And Araujo, he's never managed to acclimatise. This, you know, could be a really different performance from him. When I watched Araujo in MLS, he was very attacking, basically a winger. He's been very good for us defensively, but we've not really seen him open up the legs and really like burst down the line. And yeah, he's played some crosses into the box and stuff, but we could, now that he's had like a midweek off and stuff, you know, we might see a different Araujo. So watch out for that. Let's cross our fingers that's the case. I think Negren's going to end up being the linchpin, because when you see Negren in this attacking number 10 position, I liken him to Callum McGregor in a lot of ways, where yeah, sometimes he is kind of like able to break the lines and split the way and open up for a pass, for an assist and stuff like that. But when Hearts or any team, whenever they're going to be making it tight between the lines and defending their box really deep, whenever we're in sustained possession, and he's got to receive the ball in tight spaces, again, maybe similar to Tate, but it feels a wee bit more McGregor at times, where he just moves the ball, he moves with the ball, and he's kind of like that offensive version of McGregor in some regard. And I think when Hearts go back to Derek McInnes type of being deep, compact, and defensive, I think this game suits Negren a lot. He's going to thrive being in the final third and having a good kind of area of the pitch. And to have a big target man to play alongside, as well as the other support he's done well with already, I think Negren could be a real match winner on this one. I think we all see the new striker getting a goal, don't we? I kind of agree with that as well. And whether it be crosses in from Tierney, set pieces, Engels, open play, I think we're going to get a chance here. Somebody asked about Gordon. It will be Schwallow that's back in the nets here. Do we keep a clean sheet? I would be surprised, to be honest with you. I would be surprised. This is like the Jamestown front three. Wouldn't be surprised if they scored, really. It's not beyond us, though. I think, again, you think about the Bologna game. If we didn't go down to 10 men, I don't think Bologna would have scored. Like, I think we had them really by the short and curlies. Like, they were no better than us in any department, and Hearts won't be any different to that. So I think if we can get a goal early enough, and we can just really put our foot on the ball, control the game, I could see us winning this game. I don't want to say comfortably in the sense of like, oh, we absolutely smashed them, but you know, if we can control the match state, the game state, I think we can. Again, if we had 11 against Bologna, I'd have backed us for a clean sheet. I really would. And again, Hearts were starting with 11, so I kind of feel that it's not impossible, but it's at Tynecastle, the temperature, the occasion, referees, and everything. I'm not going to say it's likely. So I think we concede one, let's say, maybe two. I think this Kvankar, a few guys have said of Brace, I think he's got 2 goal contributions in him. Maybe it's 2 goals, maybe it's 2 assists, one of each. I think he's got 2 in him for sure. I think Negren's got something in him in this game as well. And really, between the rest of the guys that are on the way up, I would maybe include Taneki off the bench in that regard, as well as Iheanacho and Hatate off the bench. I think we've got 3 goals in us. I'm not really too worried about that. Their goalkeeper is really good, but so even though I think we've maybe got the ability to create the chances to get 3 goals, to see maybe keep one of them down, I could see this being like 2-1 to Celtic, maybe 2-2. If things go our way, it's like 3-1. But that's the kind of realms I'm kind of feeling with the game. Could even be 1-1. You know, like I think it's going to be. I think their weaknesses will show in the game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think Shanklin being out is a huge thing. You know, they could still be very dangerous in attack. You know. So yeah, again, the keeper is very important. He's been one of the best players in the league this year, even, you know, just excluding goalkeepers. I think he's saved a lot of points for them if you look at that level of contribution. We all know Spittle's got a bit of talent. Magnussen's played well against us before, as well as it has Steinwender and a lot of these other lads. So you know they're going to put their head in where it hurts. You know they're going to stay shoulder to shoulder with us. But I feel like coming off of Bologna, we've just been like, you know, if you think about like maybe sparring, we've been sparring with heavyweights. Maybe you're a middleweight, but you've still been sparring with heavyweights. and you're used to how hard they hit, you know, and how strong you need to be to hurt them. And then when you come away from that and go back to fighting the middleweight, you know, that's the feeling that I've got coming into this. That even though there'll be a bit of fatigue maybe from Bologna, a wee heavy leg today, maybe a wee bit of recovery, an extra massage or something, I feel that when you come off that sparring with a heavyweight back to sparring with a middleweight again, I think that's one of the benefits Celtic has had over the years of playing European football, and why midweek weekend hasn't always really bothered us too much, because we just are bringing that level of we're used to who we were just facing. And then for the early stages of the next match, when the level's totally different, you're just steamrolling somebody because you're acting like you're fighting a heavyweight still. You know, 2 up inside 25. I love that shout. I love that shout. Let's hope for it. This is the place where you leave your receipts on the internet. So when the stream ends, the comment section opens up. The more comments and the more likes and the more chats in the live chat you guys do, the more it supports the growth on the channel. So I'm very thankful for everyone that does that alone to support the channel, as well as hit the subscribe button and watching the videos as well, of course. So leave your score predictions in the chat and in the comment section when the stream ends. But let me know who your shouts are. Who is, most of these are probably going to go for Kvankara, I suppose, if he is to start. If he doesn't start, it will be Dyson through the middle and Tuneki on the left. So let's think about that for a moment. Who do you think? I think Yang. Yang's had a bit of a history with Hearts. Hearts is the game where he got that red card for the high feet, which wasn't even a high feet. I still maintain the guy didn't have a scratch on him. And if he had studs raked across his face, I think we would have seen some sort of evidence of it. So let's imagine it's this. Could it be Yang? I think it could be. Who's like the guy? I think he's really kicked on. I think the Bologna performance really cements a lot of progression for me, for Yang. Let's actually have a look at his whatever. How does he look on the tail of the tape right now, form wise? Do you know? I think that's pretty solid going, to be honest with you. So on this rating system, it goes from 0 to 100. You get 35 just for playing. So 35 doesn't really tell you anything. Where it gets good is 45 and above. So if you can get to like those types of scores, you've contributed well, you've done well versus your opponent, you've created some chances in the case of a player like Yang. And how many games is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the last 15 games, this doesn't include Cup. He's won a penalty, he's scored 3 goals. Not too bad. And he's had a few chances missed on top of that, hasn't he? Out of those 15 games, 1, 2, 3 of them, I would say he's not pulled his weight statistically. He's not won his duels. He's not got balls into the box and such. I think that's Yang. This is Yang. Over 15 games, this is kind of what you're going to get. Can we get a few more goals and assists? That's the big question, but we're going to get good production. Whereas before, he's actually had some peak moments before, hasn't he? But again, in and out, not many times he gets to that 45 mark. And I think that's the history of Yang, isn't it? It's a wee flash of something quality, and then it kind of disappears to nothing. Yeah, 31s, 35s everywhere, 36s and 38s everywhere. Not really doing much. He's not been bad, man. Yeah, I think people have made him out to be worse. The St Mirren game, we all remember that. Obviously, his bird was in town. But this feels like a good. I feel like he's leveled up. I feel that he's leveled up. He could be the surprise winner on this one. Tuneki is kind of threatening to break through, isn't he? I feel like he's got better since coming back from AFCON. I think he's always done better under Martin O'Neill anyway. But yeah, he could be a surprise one. Only played 45 midweek, so starting this game, he will be right fresh and got a real point to prove. He scored a lovely goal against Talbot. That's, you know, something. But if he could do something like that against Hearts, is kind of what I'm getting at. I wouldn't put it past him. And you guys know I'm a fan of Negren, how effective he is. He could be the guy. Engels could be the guy. We have a lot of probable could be heroes, which is a real departure from where we've been this season. I feel really good about the squad overall, and whether it be Kvankara from the start. Maybe it's just outright like Tuneki starts alongside him. You bring Dyson off the bench later. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with 2-1 Celtic. I think their keeper's good, and I'm going to give him the respect I think he's earned this year alongside Finlay, Halkett, their McInnes defence. I'm going to say we get 2. I really hope it's like 3-0, 3-1, 4-0, all the stuff you guys are saying, but I'm going to try and be reasonable with my expectations and kind of tone them down a bit, and that brings me into 2-1, where I think we all get some chances. I think he'll do something. yeah, they're probably going to get a goal off of us, a penalty, a free kick, just any sort of set piece, a corner, you know. So I'm going to go for 2-1. I think we win this game. And let's have a peek at the table as we finish off the preview for Hearts. Because we are 6 points behind now. Like Martin O'Neill said, if we lost this, it would be a 9-point swing around, which is, you would think, it's not unsurmountable. We've seen bigger points gaps bridged in seasons gone by, especially ones that Martin O'Neill was a part of, particularly with the way the split works. And I've been saying this, and I'll continue to say it. This will be the craziest split of all time. It really will be, you know. We're not only playing Rangers, but we'll be playing Hearts. Hearts will be playing them. There's a whole trifecta. Motherwell will be in the mix, you know that. It feels like Hibs are going to remain up there. And then whether it be Falkirk, Dundee United, Aberdeen, somebody else could get their act together. You never know. The top 6 is going to be wild. So 9 points is not insurmountable, but it is a real problem. It is a real problem. So winning this, I think, is hugely important. Cutting the gap down, and then it feels like without being top, we can maintain a bit more control of the situation again. You know, we're kind of increasing that Hearts loss column. That's the number one thing we need to look at here. We've got 6 losses. We need them to catch up to us, and the best way we can help them do that is by bloody beating them ourselves, you know. So let's hope we get that on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sticking with 2-1 to the Hoops, and I'm going to go for Youngster to be the headline maker. I think the Derby goal didn't quite do that for him, but we've seen that it's threatening to make him a Celtic hero of the season. I think he's going to get it in the real Derby kind of grudge match against the actual top of the league team Hearts this time. So a big win for us would destroy. Yeah, imagine we got a big win. A Martin O'Neill 6-2 special. Oh, wouldn't imagine Van Cara scores in the first 60 seconds. Chris Sutton style, you know. Oh, that would be incredible. Don't get me carried away, McLaughlin, or I'll change my prediction. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in today. Really had a blast. I was a bit worried about how much we had to get through. I have motor mouthed through most of it, so I'm sorry there's not been as much audience participation in this one as we normally do. If you haven't done so already, please do smash the subscribe button. We're on 97 likes right now, guys. I would love it if we could finish on 100 likes before I end the show. So if you've not done so already, please take the phone out your pocket, change the tab on your screen, whatever it is you need to do. Smash that like button, support the channel, support the show, help us grow. We're pushing for 18,888 subscribers, and we cannot do that without your support. The game is Sunday. There'll be no content out tomorrow, so we've kind of did 2 videos into here. And we'll be back. Well, we'll be back Sunday for a breakdown. Yeah, we might do a live react, actually, because it's a pretty big game, isn't it? So we'll probably be back live Sunday. I look forward to seeing you for that. If you're going to the game, travel safe, stay out of trouble. I hope you have a great time. And whenever you're watching it, I hope you have a lot of fun. And yeah, cross your fingers and toes, get your receipts on the internet, and moan the hoops. Come on, Celtic.